The biggest listing of the year to date, CTOS Digital has not stopped for a breather since it debuted on July 19th. Good results, a series of deals have helped it keep its momentum, but is COVID set to derail that? We talked to CEO Dennis Martin about branching into new business in a time when nothing is a certainty. For CTOS Digital, there was really no rest for the weary, right? In quick succession, you increased your stake in Thailand's business online to 23%, and then you bought 4.6% in RAM. Can you elaborate, Dennis, on how these buys will actually help the business?
Now, the reason we do these sort of minority investments is to get a foot in the door, and that we do that for a number of reasons. One is we can either see future investment opportunity, or we can see strong synergies. And so in both cases, both options are available to us over a longer term, but it's the synergies play that's really interesting for me. So if we look at BOL in Thailand, for example, Business Online is, like I said, the largest corporate credit bureau. They also have one consumer credit bureau, and BOL has a small 12.25% stake in that as well. But BOL focuses on large corporates. It focuses on providing information and detailed reports on large corporates. Whereas here in Malaysia, we're very strong in the SME segment. And so, we have our credit manager product. We've got over 17,000 SMEs that use it every day. And so we have this real good, strong knowledge in SMEs. They have this good, strong knowledge on larger corporates. And there's obviously opportunity to share that knowledge and to share our products. And so it's the potential for us to bring credit manager and our other digital solutions like eKYC, et cetera, into Thailand, which is a huge market and a great opportunity. Similarly, we can look at bringing their large corporate products into Malaysia to support the corporates here in Malaysia more.
Is it a similar story for RAM then?
They're very strong in the rating agencies, and often our two businesses get confused. People call us a rating company, and we're not. We're a credit bureau or a CRA. Now, RAM is the rating agency, and again, they do ratings on large corporates, but they also do other things. They're strong in analytics. They're strong in ESG, which is very topical right now. Around governance and social and so on. And there's an opportunity to bring their products to our customer base. We've got over 430 key account customers, as I said, 17,000 SMEs. We've got over 1.3 million consumers in our database. So there's strong synergies for growth of both organizations.
All right, the big question is, are you looking for more of these sorts of synergistic stakes as well?
Well, look, we're looking at not just synergistic, but other types of investments as well. I mean, at the beginning of this year, we took 100% stake of Basis. Basis was another bureau here in Malaysia, and they focused on international credit reports, and they were the largest here in Malaysia. So if you're based in Hong Kong and you want to get a report on a company in Malaysia, you'll go to Basis. And similarly, if you're in Malaysia and you want to do business with someone in the US, you go to Basis. And so absolutely aligned to what we do. We didn't just take a stake, we took everything and integrated it into our business. So we're looking at anything in the region, anything in Malaysia that can add value to our customers. And that's really what it's all about, right? I mean, there's no point acquiring for the sake of acquiring. You've got to acquire for the sake of your customers and growing what you can offer them in terms of opportunity to grow their business.
You posted a solid set of numbers before your listing, which shows that your strategy, whatever it is actually working. However, we've said that things change, they change day to day, the situation changes day to day. Do you think you will be able to keep this up?
The reason we've maintained that is because we're offering the right products at the right time to the right people. Let me explain that. We've been working for a couple of years on providing organizations a product called eKYC. eKYC is digitally enabling organizations to sign up customers remotely. It wasn't that long ago, if you wanted to open a bank account, you physically had to go into a branch and do a thumbprint scan. Remember those days?
Yes.
You don't need to do that anymore. Why? Because banks can verify who you are online, digitally, from the comfort of your home or your office or wherever you are, using a product that we offer called eKYC, CTOS Eco-IC, which is a 4-stage process to make sure that they're the right person. Now, we were developing that and getting that out prior to COVID. But when COVID hit, of course, it accelerated that as these banks, other non-bank organizations need to interact digitally with their clients. And so, that's helped our growth. We've had other products that have helped grow our business during this difficult time as well. We've done a lot more work in the analytics and insights, helping organizations to upsell and cross-sell and manage risk as well. We've established the first fraud bureau in the region. A fraud bureau is quite common globally, but in the region, there wasn't one. And this is where banks can help to identify potential fraud, again, all digital. And that's been a roaring success. And so there are lots of activity that we've done, which is to make sure that we are a digitally enabled company that can help the digital economy. And that's more important now more than ever.
Do you think that's why the SMEs have been reaching out more? Because the normal way we all do business has been completely disrupted.
The SMEs, they're really finding that they need us. They can't afford to make decisions now that come back to haunt them. Cash flow is king, right? So
Yep.
you can't make bad calls anymore. So you really do need to know who you're doing business with. But I think the days of being a small shop that you hand wrote everything down and your customers walked in and they paid cash, I think in a large part that's pretty much over. I think we're going to see much more digital economy, if you like, much more. We've got the e-wallets that are very strong. There's many of those out there. We've seen the development on that. We've got the fintech lenders coming on board. We've got peer-to-peer lenders. You've got pay now, buy now, pay later type organizations. You've got the digital banks coming on board. So there's a much stronger growth of that digital economy, and it has been accelerated, and it will continue to do so, I think. And people will become adjusted to it. I think people will accept it, understand it, and use it more.
Let's now look into the future. What are the future products that CTOS is looking at to roll out to keep ahead of this curve?
We're focused on making sure that any product we bring to market is relevant for the time and relevant for our customers. A good example, I think, would be our recent launch of a tenant screening report. Our first foray into the property segment, one of the many new segments we're looking to get into. So tenant screening report, it amazed me as someone who rents here in Malaysia, that I can go and rent a property from anybody and they will not check on me. They will not know anything about me. They don't know that I pay my bills on time. They don't know that I'll pay my rent on time. They don't know that I haven't paid my last rent, right? And they will just rent to me because they want someone in the house. And this is often their biggest asset or second biggest asset they have. They've invested a lot into that asset and they are freely just giving it away without doing any background checks at all. And that doesn't happen just about anywhere in the world that I've been, right? Because there's too much at stake. And so tenant screening, it's a very simple thing. Buy a report, find out whether this person's bankrupt, find out this person's going to be able to make you payments. Find out whether there's anything that you should know about this person before you sign that dotted line. And so, that's an example of making sure the product is relevant for Malaysia, because it wasn't here. I think there is a challenge in people that have these assets and losing money, particularly now. But at the same time, we make sure the tenant screening report, for example, is not available for the B40. Right, and so we don't want to really disengage with the B40 group, because we want to make sure that they can get what they need and they're supported and so on.
Okay, judging by all things, CTOS is definitely in the right business because it's digital. But now there are big fears over security and your data being mined or sold. Ransomware is on the rise. How does somebody like CTOS protect itself? Because now I feel COVID has made a lot of us more vulnerable.
There's no doubt that the COVID situation is a challenge for every organization. We're no exception to that. We just have to figure out ways of adapting and changing and making sure our products are relevant. And we will continue to do that. I think for a data organization, a technology organization such as ourselves, security of our information, security of our infrastructure is absolutely paramount. We spend an awful lot of money every year investing into changing and adapting and updating our security infrastructure. We have internal security teams, we have external security teams, making sure that we can't be hacked, or that we put in place as many things as we can. Things like RMIT, which is a technology level that the banks have to get to make sure their information is secure. We actually apply that to ourselves, even though we're not a bank. And I think we're the only CRA that does that. I think that's the case. So it's very, very important that we keep focusing on protecting the data. If that's the one thing that keeps me up at night, that would be it. Because at the end of the day, CRAs like CTOS, we're a business of trust. You have to trust us with your information, right? And we have to prove that we deserve that trust. And that's why we need to invest to make sure it's secure.
Business aside, CTOS has also made it its mission to improve financial literacy among Malaysians. I certainly believe that it's as fundamental as reading and writing. How do you ensure, though, that your reach goes out to more rural pockets?
And you're spot on. I think financial literacy is critical. I think the more people understand what it means to them, the better the country will be, the economy will be, the stronger the economy will be. So everyone benefits. And so I think you're right. I think teaching it at a very early stage is critical. At CTOS, of course, we focused on that for many years. We've been trying to encourage people to get to have a look at their own credit reports and see what it means. Have a look at their scores and understand how can they improve their score. Now, a score really is just a 3-digit number that summarizes all the information in your credit report, right? So it's a very simple way of understanding. The higher your score, the better your credit profile is. The lower your score, the more challenges you may have. And so we've spent a lot of money in advertising, in reaching out, in going to road shows, in everything you can think of to try and educate people. They need to have a look at this, they need to understand it, and what they can do about it if it's not good.
Why do you think people are so reluctant to come face to face with their financial truth?
I've been here in Malaysia for coming up 5 years. I have seen a change. So I think you're right. That's probably how it used to be to a large degree. People just didn't care, didn't want to confront it, didn't think it mattered. But I think we are seeing a change. We've got over 1.3 million consumers now registered with us. That's growing very fast. In fact, that direct-to-consumer business is our fastest growing business. And I think that tells me that consumers are starting to understand they need to have a look. But I do think there are some of the challenges that you pointed out. I think there are a number of consumers who think, well, it doesn't really matter, or two, it won't impact me. It can't happen to me sort of approach. But I also know that people are struggling. And I know there are genuine cases where people can't afford to pay things on time. And this is where I also encourage those people to go and talk to the lender, go and talk to the bank. These companies don't want to have to go down the track of litigation or bankruptcy. They don't want to do that. They don't want to sell your assets. It's the last thing they want. They would much rather talk to you and try and restructure your debt, try and help you as much as they can. And so I think maybe there's a face issue here as well about talking to organizations around that. I think that's, with the moratorium and the recent changes, that's probably broken down a lot. But honestly, if you are struggling, go and talk to your lender.